Do we look at the camera at all when we're doing this?
You look wherever you want to look.
James is going to use this as a cold open.
Welcome to the Good Games Podcast. My name is James.
And I'm Jessie, his wife.
You're my wife?
Yeah,
That's
you're
crazy.
It's just the two of us.
It is just the two of us.
Because, it takes two.
It does take two. That's the name of the game we're talking about today. It's just you and I because there's only two people in It Takes Two, which is the game we're talking about.
Yeah. You have to look me in the eye the entire time we're talking. It's weird for you, huh?
Yes. So yeah, It Takes Two is a co-op platformer puzzle solver. It's a little bit of everything.
It really is. There's a lot about It Takes Two that is hard to explain, if only because it covers so many different things. At one point, it's like a top-down RPG too.
Right.
It's incredible.
It is a split-screen game where you control. First of all, this is by developer Hazelight.
Fuck the Oscars.
Developer Hazelight Studios, directed by Joseph Fares, who is best known for being the guy who said, "Fuck the Oscars." No, seriously, fuck the Oscars. If you don't know what I'm talking about right now, Google that shit.
My favorite is that you flipped off the microphone specifically.
Right. Google that shit. And I want you to, when you're watching that clip, I want you to Google "fuck the Oscars," and I want you to look at the host who is standing over Joseph Fares's left shoulder. No, his right shoulder, sorry.
Yeah.
Left on the screen, right in real life, who is standing over Joseph Fares, and he's the host of this award show, and I want...
watch his soul leave his body. Just that man's soul is gone. He could see the Nintendo money leaving his pockets as this is happening.
Right, yeah. That's my favorite part of that clip. He is best known for just being an asshole, kind of just like a...
Which is funny because he's a harmless asshole.
He's not an asshole. I shouldn't say that.
Well, okay, so he's I wouldn't even say he's a jackass. He's just very much Joseph Fares.
Yeah, he's a goof, I guess.
Yeah, he's very... he's left of center. Right.
And I did not play, was it A Way Out, which was that Hazelight Studios' second game. I played Brothers, A Tale of Two Sons. I did not like it. For those people who played it, I get it. There's an 8, 9, 10 hour build up for the payoff. And I was like, okay, the payoff is kind of neat, but it was not worth the build-up. Anyway, whatever. Enough about that game. So I was kind of whatever, on It Takes Two. I've heard so many good things about it. But
one game of the year.
I know, at Jeff Keighley's Game Awards.
After he made that man's soul leave his body, he came back and got an award.
I can't believe it. So yeah, I'm like, oh god, this guy is kind of a clown. That's the best way to describe Joseph Fares. He's a clown.
See, I think he's just super European. that sounds weird, but he's just very eccentric. Very
eccentric, maybe, yeah.
He's unapologetically eccentric, I think is
somewhere in between eccentric and clown is Joseph Fares. And
here's the thing, if you did a swing of eccentric people and David Lynch was the negative and Jeff Goldblum was the positive, he's somewhere
in between.
Yeah,
sure.
Somewhere in between. He's in that curve somewhere of just a very it's not that I distrust him around people. It's just I want to be sure of what he's going to say before he says it. That's the kind of
Yeah. He needs a
that man will fucking go.
He needs a PR person. Anyway, so yeah, I was like, oh my god, this director is kind of a clown, and I didn't really like the previous game, but I keep hearing nonstop shit about how good It Takes Two is, which is this co-op split-screen game that you and I played together.
Do you want to talk about what the game itself is about? Do you want me
to
do
that? Go ahead. Okay, talk about what this game is about.
I will do that. So the game focuses on a couple that is planning to get divorced, and their daughter kind of yeets them into this morbid, brave little toaster world because she wishes for them to just be friends again. She's not even asking for the marriage to be healed. She just wants them to, not hate each other. And so the premise of the game is that you are this couple that has, up until this point been not doing great. And now, you have to play as these two people who maybe aren't even the best type of people. Like, they're not great people to begin with. Trying to fix their relationship, not necessarily their marriage, but their relationship. And that's kind of the overall theme of the game. But let me tell you, it doesn't really play, like, you're not going around, like, trying to collect, like, pieces of your wedding ring or some shit. Like, it's not, some extremely, like, heavy-handed message. There's a lot of the game that just kind of comes through as, you do have to do these things together, but it's not necessarily, the fixing your marriage part of it really wasn't super heavy-handed, I thought. But yeah, so overall the premise is that you're trying to fix your relationship with this other person.
Sure. The narrative premise is these two people are trying to fix their relationship. Mm-hmm. But the gameplay I'm gonna say that the gameplay of this is very similar to what I've described on this podcast before as, like, the new style of Mario games where they're just constantly coming up with new ideas and, like, new shit. Like, hey, what if every time you jump, platforms switch? What if, gravity was inverted? What if you rode around on a bee on this level? What if, like, in every fucking level is completely different? And that's what this game is. Like, every 5 minutes you're doing something completely fucking different than what you did in the last.
I will say that I think that, and this might come off as controversial, but I think that this game may have done that new, do something new every level kind of thing.
Yeah.
Better than Mario has so far. But here's the thing. Here's why I'm saying that. I'm saying that because there were a lot of risks taken in this game that I don't think necessarily a Mario game would take. That's not saying anything bad about Mario. I'm just saying that it has it's more open to taking risks.
What do you mean by taking? What are risks taken? What do you mean?
So, like, I don't think that there is any point in a Super Mario game where I am going to be changing the entire play style.
Right. Yeah.
From level to level to level.
Right,
like, there will be different, things that happen, but...
I don't know about taking risks, but it is more willing to throw the playbook out the window completely than Mario. Right. It's more willing to be like, no, this is completely fucking different than what you were doing before.
Exactly. But one thing I really enjoyed about this was that even though it was throwing out what we were doing basically every time... Right. It never made it so foreign that it was hard to get back. No.
Yeah.
It was, it was always the same buttons that we were using.
It was always very approachable. Yeah. Even though we would, like, completely switch genres sometimes, it was always very approachable.
And it was almost kind of delightful when we did switch genres. Like, it'd be like, I recognize this from this. Like, it was kind of a...
That's the other thing I want to touch on later is I think this is pulling a lot of ideas from other video... We'll touch on that later. Pulling a lot of ideas from other video games. But the other thing I want to say... I think this game keeps... So, we talked about my favorite game of the year last year. This also came out last year, by the way. We talked about... I don't know that this is necessarily better than my favorite game of the year last year, but we talked about my favorite game of the year last year, Inscription, which was our podcast's game of the year. We talked about Inscription last year, and one thing I loved about Inscription was it was also doing that Mario thing where it was like, and what about this? And what about this? And, like, just crazy ideas out of all... But I think the problem, if you had to criticize Inscription, is I think that it shows you its best ideas first. Whereas I think it takes two, keeps its cards hidden, and it's like, oh, what about this card that's even better than the last card? What about this card that's even better than the last card?
Well, yeah, no, that's something, and I would almost say that it's not even that it's better, it's that it's consistently good.
Yeah.
It's that there was never a point in the game where I was like, I fucking hate what I'm doing right now.
No, yeah, all of it's good. But I mean, like, just shit that was so surprising that it was like, oh, like, this is fucking crazy. I think, for instance, the last level of the game was the best level. Like,
yeah,
that
beautiful.
was so cool.
Yeah.
And the first level of the game, we started playing, and I was like,
so describe the first level.
The first level is you are like in a tool shed. Okay, first of all, the main characters, Cody and May, right?
Yeah.
Cody and May are the husband and wife that are struggling to fix their relationship. They are, like you said, they're...
they don't even want to fix their relationship.
No, they don't. They don't.
Yeah. They're just
That's what the game
other.
becomes.
Yeah.
But, like, the kid magically
She cries them into the brave little toaster. It's
cries
really
them into the
terrifying.
brave little... This game, yeah, anyway. Shrinks them down to, like, they basically...
dolls.
They're little dolls. And you're in their tool shed, but you're, like, tiny little doll size. So...
Yeah.
Basically, the first level is navigating their tool shed, and I don't think there's anything, like, wow about the first level. It was just like, okay, like
I said, it felt very Brave Little Toaster. You're just kind of or Toy Story, you know? Yeah.
Thematically, it was Brave Little Toaster, but I mean, like, mechanically, I was just like, okay, like, I say, I have to hold the door open for you, and you walk through, and you hold the door open for me. Like, I've seen this in co-op games many times before. Oh, this time you hold the door open and I hold the door open. It's like that kind of like mechanical flip flop.
Right.
But like I think the first level of this game is the least interesting mechanically.
Yeah.
And then we just keep building on that, and the game's like, well, what about this? And I'm like, oh.
And it was constantly challenging us. That was the other thing. Is it never, you know, like there was a lot of moments where we had, where there were challenges where we went, well, wait a second, is this how we're supposed to do it? And it's not necessarily difficult by any means. Like, it wasn't a terribly hard game to get through.
No, yeah.
But at the same time, like, there were moments where we were kind of scratching our heads like, wait, do I do this and then you do that? Like, that's, you know, so it wasn't just hold the door open for you and then you hold the door open for me. Like,
true. I mean, at the end of the day, I think the first level was a lot of... it eventually resulted...
The first level was, like you said, very bare bones, very...
Right. The point I'm trying to make is the first level is the least interesting level in the game, and it just gets more interesting from there, whereas my favorite game of the year last year, Inscription, the first level is the best part of the game. It is, and there are diminishing returns from there.
Exactly.
But I loved this game was... They saved the best shit for last, like...
Exactly, yeah, because there were a lot of really neat systems that... Again, they would use through one level and then just completely abandon.
Yeah, and that's what Mario does. It's like this crazy idea that you literally could have made an entire game about this one thing that you did. And it's just like, no, we're just going to use this for 10 minutes and then chuck it in the trash. We're moving on.
Well, my favorite thing about the way that It Takes Two did this, my favorite thing about that is that they didn't just, like...
It never gets stale.
Exactly. I'm always looking forward to the next thing. I'm like, oh, what are we going to do next time? Like, what is the...
It gives you these tools and these ideas, like, long enough for you to be like, oh, this is really interesting and fun. And then it takes them away and replaces them with tools that are even more interesting. And it's like, whoa, this is crazy. What are we doing now? This is crazy. Yeah.
Yeah, like, it's always building on itself. And the other thing is that you never feel like you're doing something that doesn't fit narratively. You know, like, so you didn't. You were paying a lot more attention to gameplay. So this is how.
True.
Here's a little peek behind the curtain between
narrative mechanics. Yeah.
Exactly. So like between the two of us, I think that, and that was another thing I thought that made us experiencing this game together really interesting, is that you pay a lot more attention to the mechanics, to how well something's put together, and I pay more attention to the narrative. Like, there was a point in one of the later levels where you're both trying to do... You're supposed to be helping each other with this, like, magnet power. And I don't know if you noticed this. I loved that. Like, it was great because we really did have to work completely together on that. It wasn't just, oh, I'm going to explore until I find my thing, and then, which that was, if I had to criticize any of it, like, that would be the thing, is that there was a lot of times where I could just work independently from you. Eventually, I had to do something that...
And that's what I found, like, the least interesting shit, where it was like, somebody holds open the door with the other person. The other person holds the door open
or you have to wait around until I figure out what I need to do.
Right. But there was so much of this game, and that's why I was like, oh my god. In the first level, that was just that. But there's so much, like, crazy shit later on in the game that is not that at all. Like, where you're legitimately doing things completely asymmetrically. Like, you're doing something crazy different than what I'm doing, and I have to rely on you, and there's a lot of communication, and you go now, and like, okay, and like, like that sort of thing.
Exactly. No, and the other thing but that also fits very narratively, because in the beginning, these are two people who are trying to be very, very separate. They don't want to be dependent on one another at all anymore. They're trying to break apart. And so something that I found very interesting narratively is that one of the last levels, you're supposed to be using magnets together, and there were several points where we had to, like, I had to piggyback on you, and you had to do a magnet, and then you had to piggyback on me, and I had to do a magnet. And the characters would say things. They went from being like, I cannot wait to get away from you, to, I can't do this without you.
Right.
You're strong enough to do this, and I need you to do this,
Yeah.
I thought that narratively, a lot of what we had to do over the course of the game, especially as it became more co-op heavy, like truly co-op heavy, where we had to, like you said, we had to time our jumps a certain way, or I had to make sure that you knew to throw this at a certain time.
Right, yeah.
I found that very, very, like, that really made it stand out. I can see, like, whenever we started playing this game, I was like, this will be fun, it's a co-op game for, us to play, but I can see how this got Game of the Year. Like,
the more we played it, because, like, the first night we played it, I was like, alright, whatever. And then, like, the more we played it, the more I was like, let's keep playing this game. This game's awesome. Like,
yeah, and our dog was very not happy about it. Like, he was like, what the fuck?
Yeah, hang on. Let me look at my notes. I have to look at... the other thing I wanted to touch on was I feel like this game borrows a lot of ideas from other video games. A lot of ideas. But, like, doesn't better a lot of times.
Yes,
like,
there was a lot of time.
There's a lot of shit that I was like, this is from Portal. And I'm like, that was a cool, like, remix of, like... Or, like, this is... the magnet part. So there's a part... the magnet level takes place mostly on, like, these snowy mountains. Snow
globe, like, yeah.
Yeah, you're in a snow globe, and the climax of the level is you're, like, going down the mountain. The mountain's, like, collapsing, and you're, like, speeding down the mountain, and the thing is there's, like, these certain parts of the level that if you see them, you can magnetize on and, like, get yourself a big boost. And there's a lot of, like, where are the magnets, and where are, like, these ramps that I can jump off of that give me speed boost. And I'm like, this is very, like, 3D Sonic the Hedgehog. Like,
exactly, but it
this almost feels better than any Sonic game. That is, like, Sonic Team needs to look at this and...
But isn't that funny to say, we need to look at what Joseph Ferris and EA are doing? Like, that's...
But there's shit that I've seen in Mario Galaxy that they remixed on. There's shit that I've seen in Portal. What were the other games I called out that I was like,
You didn't call out Undertale, but I don't think that you were just like, this is kind of like Undertale, because there was a part where, like, you have to avoid a bunch of shit that's coming through.
Well, no, there was a part specifically where I thought it was going to get more Undertale than it did. There was a part specifically where, like...
By the way, there's a lot of spoilers in this one, if you haven't figured that out.
Yeah, I guess. I don't know.
So I guess you don't really have to put a spoiler ban at the beginning of this.
It's a really good co-op game. That's whatever. Yeah. I don't know, it's just spoilers.
Spoilers about game, like, design and stuff like
if you don't want to be spoiled on the mechanics of this game, I guess.
It's too late for that.
Yeah, too late. Too fucking late. No, I think I called out Undertale once because there was, like, a thing where, like, we jumped up a bunch of platforms, and then the boss was like, that didn't actually... And then it, like, the boss, like, rewound time, and I was like, whoa, that's, like, very fourth wall breaking in a way that Undertale is. But the game never really did that ever again after that.
Yeah, no, it kind of stopped that.
Yeah. There was, like, a weird, like, one-off thing, but, like, a lot of the space levels were very Mario Galaxy. I'm trying to think of what...
Rainbow Road level.
Yeah, there was a Rainbow Road thing. I was like, this is very Mario Kart. Like, I'm trying to think of what the other influences were. I don't know. There's a part where, like, you have to ring a bunch of bell towers. It was like, ring the 3 bell towers. And then one of the characters even says, like, wonder where they got that idea.
So they were aware of where they're taking it from.
I mean, that's like the beginning of Dark Souls 1. You have to, like, go ring bell towers. Anyway, so I think the game is, they looked at a lot of other games that the creators liked and were like, let's just remix these ideas. I don't know. It was like... I don't know. I really liked it. They remixed these ideas in a way that I found very refreshing, and not like
And one of the things I read, because I had to
not
read
derivative,
up on
refreshing and not derivative.
It wasn't just like, haha, we did a thing that, like we riffed on a thing that somebody else did. No,
right? Yeah.
It really felt like that team, like the team at Hazelight, looked at these ideas and went, okay, well, how can we make that fit in here? I think is the other thing that made them stand out so well is it never felt like I was in a different game entirely. I was like, oh, cool, this is a Torchlight thing. Yeah. But I was still playing as Cody and May. Like, we were still working, on this thing together as a team. I never felt like I was going off into a completely separate game that I would never even associate with this kind of thing. And then it just took away from the experience in a way that I got distracted and wanted to go play that game now. No, I was always like, oh, okay, so we're doing a Torchlight thing now. What next? And then, and I just kept wanting to play
when you say Torchlight, you're talking about, like, the RPG, like...
Yes. Sorry.
Not Torchlight, like, actual Torchlight. You're talking about, like, Diablo-style Torchlight, like...
Yeah, like the Diablo-style games, I never was like, oh, yeah, no, I'll play that next. Like, or, oh, this just makes me want to go play that. No, it really didn't. It made me want to play more of this game. And another thing we do need to... so that's all the gameplay stuff. Narratively...
Yes,
this game was fucking wild.
Yeah.
So the thing about this game...
Oh, yeah.
When I say Brave Little Toaster, is it really did have a lot of, like, Brave Little Toaster vibes when you're in that tool shed. And I think that's on purpose at first. But just like Brave Little Toaster, there's always a fucking scary part.
There's, like, a weird... Because it's, like...
They skate this line of,
it's like, oh, very, like, fairy tale and, like,
whimsical and fun.
Whimsical. Like, play with your kids, play with your family. And then, like, all of a sudden there'll be something, like, very morbid or, like...
Yeah, like, you'll suck the eyes out of your vacuum or you'll rip apart a living stuffed animal. Like,
yeah. Or, like, one of the characters will be like, holy shit! And I'm like... Who is this game for again?
Yeah, who is this? I can't play this with my child.
Oh, right, yeah.
Or I play with my child and they go, what the fuck?
Yeah, no, it's a very weird mix. Yeah, it's Brave Little Toaster. It's a very weird mix of, like, this is for kids and it's whimsical and fun, but also the characters swear and there's a lot of weird morbidity.
Yeah, it's like their entire house and their yard have become sentient, essentially.
Yeah.
As part of the narrative.
Yeah.
And... again, like, you kind of expect that to be this, like, really whimsical, really fun, like, hee-hee, ha-ha thing. But then, there's some parts where I'm like, oh, this is really heavy. But the other thing I really liked narratively is that, again, these aren't people who are inherently good. The first half of the game, they're trying to make their daughter cry. Mm-hmm. And they have no remorse over that near the end. Like, and that makes me go, oh, these are shitty people. Like, these aren't just good people who are in a bad situation. These are assholes who don't just stop being assholes. And even by the end, one thing I really liked that this game did is by the end, you're supposed to have, the characters have mended their relationship. Not their marital status, like their marital relationship, but their friendship. Like, they understand each other now more. And instead of telling their daughter, like, oh, yeah, we're never going to get divorced or anything like that, the dad makes a point to say is, we love you no matter what happens. And made it a point to drive that home to their daughter, where I don't think the characters that we were introduced to in the beginning ever would have done that.
True, yeah. Mm-hmm.
And so I think that...
there's some character growth, yeah.
Yeah, so the fact that this game both delivers mechanically and story-wise, like a story that is... it's not, like, I'm sure there are people who want that mystical ending of, oh, they're going to be together forever and nothing bad will ever happen.
Right.
But it gives it a little more realism than that.
Yeah,
it gives it a little more, like, that's not always how it works out.
Maybe they'll try, maybe whatever.
Yeah, maybe this will work for a week, maybe it won't.
Right,
like, that's, but yeah, so I think narratively it was just a very... Can I make one gripe about the narrative, though?
Sure, yeah.
We've got these people who are cursed to be in their doll forms, right? Mm-hmm. And every time it pans into the fucking house, they're just fucking comatose. Like, neither of them. Yeah. And this, who knows how long this child, I guess it's assuming that it's like a day. But at the same time, it's like, at what point does this child call the police? Like,
so like, narratively, when the mom and dad get changed into, like, little dolls, like, their minds are in the bodies of the dolls, but their actual physical human bodies are just, like, laying around comatose, and, like, the daughter's just like, oh, I guess they're asleep for a long time. Like,
yeah, she keeps trying to, like, she's like, Dad, look, you've got this thing. And she has a British accent. That isn't just me trying to be a child.
Weird,
Cockney child.
Right.
She's like, oh, Mum, look, it's your favourite song.
Yeah.
And she's like, her mom is just dead. And I'm like, at what point is she going to call the police?
Yeah.
Like, at what point had they not taught their daughter, hey, you know what would be great? If either of us stop responding to you, call child services. No one ever said that to her. Like, I mean, no one ever said that to me either. I kind of just knew it was something we should do.
So the other thing I wanted to talk about was just how I don't think you can overstress how wildly inventive this game is. There's just so many ideas in this game.
The mini games alone.
Yeah, there's mini games, and some of them are just like, oh, you do a thing, and it's a thing. But there's also like this game just has like a fully fledged like chess. You can just play chess.
Yeah.
I was like, what? That's actually a lot of work in programming to like program chess. Like that's.
Which was so funny, because, like, at first I was like, oh, haha, this will just be a quick thing. And then when I realized we were playing full chess, I was like, what?
No, this is like a serious-ass game of chess.
Yeah,
like, why
is
this in It Takes Two?
Exactly.
So, yeah, there's a crazy amount of mini-games you can play. Mario Sunshine was the other, at the very end of the game, like, spraying the poison away with the water thing. I'm like, oh, this is very Mario Sunshine. Anyway, sorry, just stray thought. Yeah, I don't know. This game was very inventive.
Yes. No, if I had to give it a rating, I'd give it, 5 out of 5 divorce attorneys. Like, just very, very high.
Is that... okay, that's high. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I loved it. I would give it 5 out of 5 dicks.
We had a little to drink before this, folks.
Yeah. This is going to be a very silly podcast. Do you want to go on to our top 5 favorite cooperative games?
Yeah, I'll let you go first.
I am going to go first. I think you're going to be surprised by some of the games on my list.
All right.
I tried to pick games that were either specifically designed for co-op or are strictly better co-op. I don't have a lot of because Dark Souls, like, you can technically play it co-op. I'm like, yeah, but, like, a lot of people don't really think of Dark Souls as, like, co-op game. Like,
see, I was worried about that. I was like, what are going to be the technicalities on his list? Because you have used technicalities before.
These are games either specifically designed for co-op or are just better co-op. Mm-hmm. Except for, arguably, maybe, my number 5 game. But I think it's just so crazy that my number 5 game is co-op at all. Mm-hmm. And that is Divinity Original Sin. It blows my mind that this game is co-op because it is such a broad RPG with just all these crazy rules, and the battle system is very intricate and complex, and it's, turn-based, and there's all these, like, physics things, and it's like, if you throw this up here, you catch it on fire, and then you can spray water, and, water does fire damage and electricity, and there's all these elements, and it's all physics-based, and it's crazy. Also, you can just play it co-op, and it just works. It just works.
Yeah, no, that's really insane. Yeah.
And it's crazy for a game. If you haven't played Divinity Original Sin, it's like if you've played like Baldur's Gate, like those type, like, I don't know, like very.
Would you even count Diablo as something that's kind of Divinity?
Sort of. It's less.
No, Diablo feels kind of click to win.
It's less. It's less like clicky than Diablo because it has like a turn-based combat system, and it's less. I mean, there's still a lot of loot in Divinity, but it's more. It's a little more. It's a lot more story-based than Diablo. There's a lot of decisions like, do I want this guy? Do I want that guy? And it's crazy that the game is co-op. It doesn't make sense that game is co-op, but it does. So anyway, that is why that game is on my list. It just, because I played that game and I'm like, wait, you're telling me this is co-op? Like, what asterisk is on the co-op mode? Like, what things are limited? Like, what things are you not allowed to do? No, you just do everything in co-op. It's just the same as single player. Except it's co-op. Like, it's crazy.
Right.
It's crazy that, like, somebody can be over here doing this one quest line, and somebody can be over here doing this other quest line. I don't know. It blows my mind.
The limited time that you and I played with another one of our friends, I found that very, very rewarding.
Yeah.
So are you going to keep going down your list? Or
give your number 5. You have your number 5 ready?
I do. I was just making sure I have my notes together.
All right. Go ahead. What's your number 5?
So my number 5 is actually Four Swords Adventure.
Oh, great. I love Four Swords.
Four Swords and...
Were you talking about the GBA one or the GameCube one?
The GBA... But, well, here's the thing.
Okay.
What was the name of the one that was the one that came out on the DS?
I thought that was... Oh, you're talking about Triforce Heroes.
Triforce Heroes was the other one I really liked.
That was the 3DS one.
So let me walk that back. Okay. Triforce Heroes.
Triforce Heroes over Four Swords and whatever the fuck the...
Well, here's the thing. So Triforce Heroes over Four Swords, not because Four Swords wasn't perfect, because it was as perfect as it could be. Uh-huh. The problem with Four Swords is its reliance on the Game Boy Advance.
True. It does have a very clunky mechanical requirement.
At the time, that was great, but now...
Now it's like, oh my god, I have to have 2 fucking different emulators, because let's be serious, nobody has a GameCube and a Game Boy Advance and a GameCube to Game Boy Advance link cable.
I mean,
and
they
multiple
do, but they're also virgins.
Well...
virgins. But yeah, so Triforce Heroes... I found that to be a lot of fun. Now, you and I didn't finish it, but what we played of it with our friend and co-host Ryman was so satisfying. Yeah, so Justin and our, just that one New Year's Eve that the 3 of us played it together until you passed out was fantastic because he and I were struggling through a boss fight, realized you weren't doing anything.
Was I asleep?
Yeah, we looked over and you were dead fucking asleep.
I was asleep.
And so that was my favorite. So, a lot of mine, you're going to find a lot of mine are based not only on memory.
Memory, okay.
Memorable experiences, I think is the best way to do it. Because Justin and I were still able to complete that boss fight. But it was hilarious that we looked over and were like, why the fuck isn't James doing... And you were just...
See, I love fucking Four Swords. I don't know, Triforce Heroes just didn't... It was fine, but it
didn't hit the same way, but I think we were at a different stage in our life.
I felt like a lot of Triforce Heroes was exactly what I was describing in the first level of It Takes Two, where it's like, 2 of the links hold the door open for the one link, and then the one link opens the shortcut for the other 2 links, and it was just that repeated forever. I'm like, oh my god, these kind of puzzles are boring!
Well, you know what else is boring? Whenever one very sleepy person on your team likes to take all the fucking rupees and then fall asleep before the boss.
It's true. I feel like the problem with Four Swords is A, that big mechanical requirement. Nobody has all that machinery, and it's very pain in the ass to set up all those emulators. And 2, the levels in Four Swords are so fucking long. It's like, oh my god, why? These levels are like an hour and a half, 2 hours long. Like, one level is so long.
You have to really mean it if you're going to sit down and play that game.
Yeah,
but
exactly.
so that's...
good pick.
Yeah, Triforce Heroes would be my number 5.
My number 4 is a classic co-op game. It is Portal 2. Just classic co-op puzzle solve. I mean, people know what Portal 2 is, right? Like, if you don't know what Portal 2 is... Do you know what Portal is? Do you not know what Portal is?
Just kill yourself.
Don't kill yourself. Listen, don't kill yourself.
You can kill yourself.
Here's the thing. Portal is crazy. Like, imagine you open a portal on this wall, and I
cannot believe you're explaining Portal to these people.
And then you come out of another portal on that other wall. Anyway, imagine if that were co-op... And 2 different people could make 2 different sets of portals. Anyway, it's crazy, and it's a good game. It's a lot of good, puzzle solving. It's good.
Oh, yeah. My favorite thing about Portal 2 is the last thing you have to do is just high 5.
And I love that It Takes Two, the game we talked about it, had a remix of the high 5 thing. And I was like, they took that from Portal 2. There's just so many ideas borrowed from other games. Yeah, remixed in It Takes Two.
So my number 2... my number 4 is Borderlands 2.
Borderlands 2.
So Borderlands 2 was actually one of the first games that I really put a lot of co-op time into. Obviously, there are other, multiplayer games and stuff, but as far as cooperative play, Borderlands 2 was a big one for me, especially because... Or the thing that I think makes it stand out is that Borderlands 2 really did scale the difficulty of different enemies and stuff based on how many people, not just the enemies, but the memenes. Not just the difficulty of the enemies, but the caliber of the reward you'd get at the end.
Yeah.
So, like, you were going to get more common rewards if you were playing by yourself. But if you played with friends...
It incentivized you to be like, hey, go get your friends. There's going to be something awesome.
Exactly. It scaled the rewards to go with.
That's cool.
Yeah. So that's something... And I literally have hundreds of hours in Borderlands 2. Like, it's, you know, which is so funny, because I just did not give a shit about Borderlands 3.
Look forward to this podcast's review of Tiny Tina's Wonderlands, maybe coming in the future. Maybe.
I have a feeling it's going to be coming really fucking fast.
Well, yeah, are we gonna? Hey, look forward to Tiny Tina's Wonderlands coming in the future.
Hey. Yeah. So I hope you're ready to play some fucking Borderlands.
I'm ready. It's been a while since we played some Borderlands.
Absolutely. But yeah, so that's something that I thought was really, and there was a lot of community involved in that game, and I would say that the Borderlands community, despite Gearbox's best efforts to really, really be fucking weird, it's a very solid community. Like, I was always finding posts, like, it wasn't necessarily something that I would interact with, but I would always find posts in Facebook groups or Steam groups and stuff of, hey, I'm having trouble beating this, or hey, I really want to get this one epic thing, would anyone like to play with me? And there would always be like 5 or 6 replies. There were always people who wanted to play together. And I thought that was really cool, and so that's why it's my number 4.
Awesome.
Yeah.
My number 3 is a game that you can technically play like on a standard computer with a standard monitor. And I usually roll my eyes when I hear this, but it is absolutely better in VR. This game is called Keep Talking and No One Explodes.
Yes.
Do we have a common... I thought you might have that on your...
It's not on my list, but I wholeheartedly agree that it's a fantastic experience.
The gist of this game, and this is co-op, you can play it 2 people, and it works great with 2 people. You can play it with a whole room of people, and it works just as well.
It's almost more funny, though. Like, if the important thing to find here... You know what I should do is I should send you the TikTok that I have... that I recorded of you and Zach trying to play this game together, because Zach's reaction to you not fucking...
Put that in the comments of this video.
Yeah,
please.
because you dropped the bomb,
post
and at
a
one
link.
point Zach completely regretted. So, like...
Post a link to that in the comments.
It's fun for both the people who are playing the game and the people experiencing the people playing the game.
So the game is one person who, if you have a VR set, one person has the VR headset on and cannot see the other people, right? Because you're in VR. And what they see is this complex console of wires and
suitcase almost.
Buttons and lights and switches, and you don't know what any of them do, right? And the other person, if you're playing it like we do, has an instruction manual that you've printed out ahead of time that you're flipping through, right? So the way the game works is the guy in VR describes what they're looking at. They're like, I see 3 switches. 2 of them are red, 1 of them's blue, 1 of them's got Chinese letters, the other one has...
an anti-Semitic sign on it, I don't know
why. Right, it looks like a swastika, I don't know. And there's a timer on the bomb, so they're like really frantically like, hey, we gotta fucking hurry up.
And the other thing that makes this really interesting is that you only get 3 strikes. Like, you can't just ham-hand it until you get the right combination.
Right, you can't just try random shit, so... The person with the manual is like, okay, they're looking through the manual.
Swastika?
They're looking for, like, switches and swastikas. They're like, where are the switches? Where are the switches? Okay. How many switches are blue? And they're like, 2? How many switches have a swastika? I don't know. Is this a swastika? I think you flipped the middle switch, and then, like,
Turns out that's just an S, and you have double vision.
Oh, you're looking at it upside down. Like, oh, that's not a swastika, it's an S, or whatever. So... There's not actually swastikas in this game.
No, I don't think
so. We're being
anymore.
assholes.
Yeah, we're being kids.
But there's a lot of, like, back and forth. Like, communication is absolutely crucial in this game, and there's a lot of asymmetry of, like, what one person can see, and they're trying to describe what they can see, and the other person has all of the knowledge on how to defuse the bomb, but they can't see the bomb. So it's like you're, like, over the telephone. You're, like, in that action movie where, like, the, like, super action hero is calling the nerd in the tech lab to, like, which wire do I cut? Which wire do I cut? And the nerd is like, well, how many wires? Like, which one of them is yellow? Like, it's very much that. I love that game. Keep talking and nobody explodes.
So, my number 3 is, so I will say that, spoiler alert, is that the last 3 of these games are games that we have played together.
Yeah.
Quite a bit.
We played all of them together. I mean, we played
Borderlands 2, we only played a little bit.
We played a little bit together, but we played Triforce Heroes together.
Yeah, we played. We've been married quite a while, people. So 5 years this year. So 5 co-op games. But no, so my number 3 is Super Mario 3D World.
Oh, I fucking love Super Mario. Shit, that should be on my list.
So here's the thing, though, is I've noticed that yours are, like you said, they're games that are strictly either made better or reliant on co-op.
You either have to play them co-op or they're better.
They can be single player, but they're definitely better.
Mario 3D World is pretty much better co-op though.
I will say though, it has to be 2 people because the second you get 4 people in there, I've never wanted to not talk to some of our friends more.
It gets a little chaotic with 4. It does.
Yeah. No, it gets there might have been a fist fight in our living room.
Two, maybe 3 is the sweet spot. Yeah.
Yeah. Because we played a lot of that together, and I found that extremely rewarding to play together, especially as a couple. Especially as people that you're trying to figure out how you work together. I found out real fast that James has a thing he likes to call penguining, where he will just fucking forget that you're even playing.
The reason we call it penguin is because in Mario there's a penguin power-up.
Which Mario game was this? Mario Wii?
Yes, but I think it is. There is
New Super Mario Bros.
I think there's a penguin in...
Not in 3D World.
Anyway, New Super Mario Bros. There's a penguin power-up. And Mario turns into a penguin, but what you can do when Mario's penguin is if you just hold down, he just goes belly, right? And he just slides real fast. And he just shoo! And I just
Which is great for everyone.
Penguin! And then shoo! Through the level.
James sucks for everyone else. It's real.
Penguin. So we call that penguining.
So that's become something that I've gotten very used to. And we played this early on. Before we were ever married, we played this.
Yeah.
And it kind of got me used to the fact that, he just likes to keep fucking going.
I just love the penguin.
Where I'm like, let's look at these pretty flowers. Let's look at all this stuff.
Fuck, Super Mario 3D World's a really good game. That should be on my list.
Yeah.
I fucking love Super Mario 3D World.
Design-wise and everything, it's very good.
Really
the only
good.
reason it's not near my top is because there are things in these other games
it's
that really
good. Yeah, I don't know. Replace Divinity with Super Mario 3D World. It's really fucking good.
Okay.
On my list. My number 2 is a game we just talked about for forever. It Takes Two.
Yeah.
It was that high on my list. I was very impressed by It Takes Two. Yeah.
See, I didn't include It Takes Two on my list entirely because we were talking about it.
Well, then what's your number 2?
My number 2 is actually Rayman Legends.
Oh,
So
I fucking love Rayman Legends.
The interesting thing about Rayman Legends is it's kind of an unsung hero as far as I'm concerned with platformers because there's
It's very underrated. It's very underrated.
Really cool stuff in Rayman Legends, but the other thing that made it interesting on the Wii U is that we could both play as separate characters, but whoever had the touch screen...
That was the only game that justified... The only game that we played that justified the existence of that stupid fucking tablet. Remember the stupid giant fucking tablet of the Wii U? The only game that really used that was Rayman Legends, and I guess maybe...
It was really the thesis for the way it could be used.
Maybe Mario Maker, you could argue, but, Rayman Legends was the game that used the tablet.
Well, see, when they made the tablet, they were always like, it's something that everyone, you as a family can play these games together more, because you can...
So strange that it took a third-party game to justify the existence of that stupid fucking tablet.
It was the thesis for how this could work.
Oh my god, there's so many great ideas with that tablet.
Yeah, there were multiple characters in Rayman Legends, and we could both play as separate player characters, but then if you had the Wii U tablet in your hand, you could also use the touch screen on the tablet to do things like move platforms. Right. And there were points where that was really, really, really necessary.
But it was there would be a level where one person is controlling Rayman on the TV, and the other person is watching Rayman and trying to draw platforms under Rayman as Rayman is jumping, just here's a platform, oh god, here's a platform, woo, here's a platform, and they're just shit like that, really justifying the existence of that tablet. Yeah.
The fact that thing carried... What the hell was that?
Monster.
Oh, cool. So the fact that Rayman Legends proved what the Wii U could do...
Yeah.
That's why it's so high on my list, too, is that it didn't have to fucking be like that.
I would say it's probably still worth it, even, because there's a PC port. I want to say there's probably, an Xbox and PlayStation port of that game. Probably still worth it, even without the Wii U. I would probably make the argument that the definitive version of that game is the Wii U version, but...
Which is strange to say that anything is...
I know, but probably still worth playing, even if you don't have the Wii U.
Another reason it's so high on my list? Best use of Black Betty.
I know. There's some great use of
music in general.
Yeah. Just really
the
great.
musical themes in that game are really good. You know, like, because people always talk about how, like, talking about Mario Wii, this, you know, like, oh, the characters dance once in a while to the beat. No, like, Rayman really makes, and I guess that's always
really
been
good
true of Rayman.
Integration of gameplay and music.
Exactly.
My number one game. Can you guess it?
What is it?
It's fucking Rock Band. I fucking love. Listen to me.
How did I not know that?
I fucking love Rock Band. And again, a game with a huge asterisk. There's a lot of mechanical requirements. You gotta get these stupid fucking plastic instruments. And
to illustrate to y'all how much he loves Rock Band, he... Not only did we have to buy an Xbox 360 in the year of our Lord 2020, but we also have a very large electronic
That's a very small electronic drum kit. It's
bigger than the actual Rock Band drum kit.
Oh, well, yeah, because the Rock Band drum kit's tiny. Like, that's not a real drum kit. This is like a real... So...
He got a real drum kit for Rock Band.
If you, like me, miss the era of plastic instruments and rhythm games...
You should get an electric drum kit.
Here's what you want to do. You want to hunt down... Google all this shit. I'll just tell you what you need to Google. There's a very specific version of Rock Band 3 that you have to have the physical disc for, and I want to say it's the Mad Catz version, because when they republished it, it was under EA. EA version doesn't work. You need the Mad Catz version. You need an Xbox 360. You need Rock Band 3 specifically. Why do you need all these things? Because there is a huge community of people who make custom songs specifically for Rock Band 3.
So what I'm hearing is we're definitely playing Rock Band after this.
Oh yeah, 100%. You can download, I don't know, anything. Basically anything. Basically any song. Like, pretty much anything. Like, you love Disney music, Disney songs. I love Coheed and Cambria. I love, like, dumb video game music. And Led Zeppelin. Yeah, Led motherfucking Zeppelin is never going to license the use of their songs for anything, let alone, you know, Rock Band. They're going to be like, yeah, go fuck yourself. Well, custom...
So these beautiful nerds in their basements have tagged out all these games.
It's a big community-supported game where nerds in their basement have been like, hey, I'll chart a Led Zeppelin song, and then you can download them. I want to say even technically it's legal because it is... There's some sort of, like... I don't know. Technically, this is not piracy. And the community has made, like, an agreement with Harmonix, like, anything that you have that's official DLC, we will not make a custom chart for. Anything you have in Rock Band 4, we will not make a custom chart for. So there's, like, you know, there's, like...
an easy piece, yeah.
There's a truce.
And an uneasy piece, I guess is
and in agreement, Harmonix looks the other way on all these custom things. Anyway, also, there is... you can get an adapter that will make any electronic drum kit work with the Xbox 360. It's like the Xbox MIDI drum adapter. Just Google that. So I got myself like a pretty cheap electronic drum kit. It's called the Alesis Nitro Mesh, which is like a very good entry-level drum kit, and just plugged in this adapter, and now I have like a real-ass drum kit that you can also use for Rock Band. Mm-hmm. Then we went really extra, and there's like a Rock Band 3 fog kit and lighting kit, and we got, I don't know, like microphones. Our game room looks like a goddamn band records here sometimes. But anyway, that's how to really go hard in Rock Band.
I bet our neighbors think that we're like hotboxing up here or something, and it's just so much more nerdy.
The fog machine, the fog machine
like,
goes on.
Wow, they're smoking a lot of weed up there, and then, nope, we're just big versions.
Now, this is something I've also endorsed on this podcast. Sorry, I know I'm taking forever on this.
I still haven't said my number one.
I know. The future of this, because like honestly, we're holding together Rock Band 3 with duct tape and prayers and magic. The future of this lies with a game called Clone Hero. Clone Hero is the dumbest fucking name I've ever heard. They're changing the name eventually to a game called Strikeline. When they finish Clone Hero, they're going to sell an official product. Right now, Clone Hero is completely free. You can download Clone Hero. It does all the same shit I just described.
Except vocals.
It doesn't have vocal support right now. When they do Strikeline, they're eventually going to add vocal support, but all the same shit you can download. The great thing about Clone Hero / Strikeline is you don't need an Xbox 360 or a weird Baroque specific edition of Rock Band 3 or whatever. You can just download this for PC and it all just works. And it's great. Anyway, Clone Hero, Strikeline, Rock Band, the combination of those three are my favorite co-op game.
My favorite of all time, at least in recent memory, and again, excluding It Takes Two, because It Takes Two definitely would have been on my list.
Yeah, it was great.
Is Donkey Kong Tropical Freeze.
I love Tropical Freeze, but the one reason I was like, that game's still really fun just by yourself.
Well, it is. It's very fun by yourself, but it's also a very rewarding co-op experience, especially when you have a husband who likes to penguin.
I love Tropical Freeze.
And it's just, as far as Donkey Kong games go, there hasn't been a great Donkey Kong co-op experience, I feel, since Donkey Kong Country 2. So it's been hard fought. Like, it's not been an easy road for Donkey Kong by any means. No, Donkey Kong Tropical Freeze was also one of the first co-op games that you and I played together.
That's true.
So it holds very near and dear to my heart. Great soundtrack. It really captures a lot of what made Donkey Kong Country 2 great. Difficulty, I'd say, is maybe mid to low on that. Like, well,
that game's hard as shit.
In comparison to Donkey Kong Country 2...
Tropical Freeze is pretty hard.
No, Tropical Freeze can be a real dick punch.
Did you play those bonus levels? Those bonus levels are fucking...
In the main game.
Okay.
In the main game.
Main game is...
main game is pretty... I'm not saying it's not...
I can't believe you thought it was easy and I thought it was hard.
Well, I also am always player 2. So you had to carry me.
That's... Okay. Okay. Maybe that's why we have a difference of opinion there.
Yeah, because
I thought that game was hard.
I don't think it's that it's... Here's the difference. So it's not that it's not hard.
Right.
It's that in comparison to Donkey Kong Country 2,
yeah,
it's a little easier. Like, there are parts of Donkey Kong Country 2, like, when you and I fought Captain Cruel, Captain K. Rool, Captain Cruel, if you watch the animated series, his name is Captain Cruel.
Okay.
But anyway, if you wanted to watch that terrible, terrible series.
I mean, that's the pun that we're definitely going for, is K. Rool Cruel, yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But no, so, like, that was something that I found very rewarding, and whenever you and I played Donkey Kong Country 2, that fight sucked. Where, like, in the last fight, it felt like I could still do something.
Okay.
In Donkey Kong Country 2, there were a lot of times where it was like, yeah, well, fuck you if you're Dixie Kong or Diddy Kong. Like, if you were player 2, regardless of whomst you were... Yeah. Yeah, like, there were a lot of times where it was like, well, you just go to hell.
DKC 2 is pretty fucking hard. You're right.
And it wasn't necessarily co-op friendly, where this is really,
DKC 2 is probably harder than Tropical Freeze, but Tropical Freeze is pretty hard.
Oh, it's hard. It's hard. I'm not saying it's not hard. I'm just saying that it's a little more forgiving.
I think a lot of people probably slept on Tropical Freeze because it was originally released for the Wii U, and then it was, like, re-released unceremoniously on the Switch. No. Don't sleep on that game. If you like platformers, you need to check out Tropical Freeze. It's really good.
Yeah, especially if you like Donkey Kong platformers, too. It's just very, very good.
Great.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah. I'm surprised neither of us put Mario Kart, but I guess it's not really a co-op game.
No, it's not a co-op game.
It's like competitive.
Yeah. I mean, there's nothing really co-op about Mario Kart unless you're, like, going to play Grand Prix and team up on the CPUs, but...
Like we did?
Yeah.
Yeah. We play a lot of games that are supposed to be versus as co-op. It's really fun. Like, when we play Mario Party, we have a, like... hidden rule, like, we don't fight against each other unless we have all human players. Then it's, we let God decide. But yeah.
Do you have anything you want to endorse? Any movies, TV shows, games? If not, I got something you can think for a bit while I endorse.
Endorse yours, and
I have endorsed on this podcast previously a lot of bad movies, a lot of so bad they're good movies.
Oh,
I just discovered
you're gonna say.
A movie called Hard, Ticket to Hawaii. Yeah, it's got a great theme song. It is very 80s. It stars a lot of, I think they were like Penthouse Playmates or something.
Playboy Bunnies.
So you can imagine what kind of scenes exist in this movie that stars...
Tits just come out for no reason.
We played a drinking rule where it was like drink for tits. There's a lot of tits, but like... There's reasons to watch this movie, not just tits. There's a lot of, like, just...
It's just fun.
It's a very fun... It's not... I mean, there's tits, definitely. But it's just a very fun, playful movie that, like, has a lot of just outrageous, like, did that just fucking happen? Like, what the fuck? And then, like, of fucking course, none of the Playboy, Penthouse, whatever, Playmates can act worth a fucking shit. So there's a lot of terrible acting, just deadpanning lines.
It's
just
so earnest, though.
Yeah. It's just a really fun, bad movie. Just very fun. Hard Ticket to Hawaii is what it's called.
I am actually going to be endorsing an Etsy seller called Enchanted Ears. And they made, so we took my younger sister to Disney World this weekend, and I got her from Enchanted Ears these custom Judy Hopps Mickey ears. The quality of those ears were like, I mean, I'm a Disney woman, very much so. James is nodding vigorously for those just listening, and now he's shrugging apathetically. I'm a Disney adult, and I have a lot of custom Disney ears for, different things. I even got custom Disney ears for us for our honeymoon that you didn't wear.
I fucking wore them!
The Buccaneers?
Yes! I wore them!
Yeah, for three minutes to show me how much you fucking hated them.
They were heavy. They were like really heavy. They were like give you a headache. They were like heavy. They were heavy.
They were a little heavy. But here's the thing.
I wore them.
Here's what
I fucking wore them.
I got very, very into custom Disney ears for a long time. So, whenever I went in search for a pair for my sister, I was like, okay, we'll find, she loves Judy Hopps from Zootopia. So let's find her some Judy Hopps ones. And when I bought these, I knew they were going to be okay. Like, they looked good. But I've seen things that look good in photos that maybe don't, as long as she liked them, it was going to be okay. But the quality was gorgeous. They didn't hurt her head at all. She would have taken them off if they'd hurt her head. You know what I mean? And, just everything about them. Uniform, clean, beautiful. And both my sister and the character loved to see them. It got my sister noticed, and that made her day. Nothing better could have happened to her. So yeah, Enchanted Ears is
Enchanted Ears.
Yeah. I like how you endorsed a terrible movie and I endorsed an Etsy seller. That seems very indicative of
us.
Very,
very on brand for both of us.
Yeah.
All right. I think that's our podcast. Our next episode might be Tiny Tina's Adventure World, whatever that
Wonderland,
whatever it's called. Might be Kirby.
Yeah.
I don't know. It
might be Kirby if Zach can get a...
It might be a board game if Zach... who knows? Yeah. Stay tuned and find out. You have anything else?
I don't know. Kiss your local cryptid.
Kiss your local cryptid. And with that, that's going to do it for us. For the Good Games Podcast, I'm James.
And I'm Jesse. Whoa. And we are married.
And we are married. And we'll see you next time. Goodbye!
Bye!
That's never a good thing to hear from the bathroom.